Hey, good Thursday morning, everybody. BAM Weather Meteorologist Brett Waltz here, giving you a long-range forecast update, guys. I hope you all are having a fantastic Thursday morning. Going to dive into the details today with the latest trends with Tropical Storm future Hurricane Erin that's in the Atlantic right now. Still keeping a very close eye on this system. It's still a ways out, and there's still a good bit of uncertainty. And I don't want to completely take off the table a westward trend towards the East Coast. Is that the most likely solution right now? No, it is not. The much higher probability is that this storm stays out to sea and really doesn't produce any appreciable impacts for the U.S. East Coast. But there are a couple of things that are certainly worth monitoring that we're going to take a look at in this video today, and west trends on the early morning run of the American Ensemble data. So that will really be the theme of this video, but we'll also talk about how this will then impact the pattern and how things will transition into the end of August and into the start of September. Before we get into that, just a real quick note, we do have some severe weather threats on the table today, once again across parts of the north central U.S., parts of the Dakotas, and into Minnesota. It's a 2 on a scale of 5, so not looking at a major outbreak or anything like that, but an isolated tornado can't 100% be ruled out. Large hail, probably the biggest threat here, could be some significant hail in this hatched area even, and then perhaps a couple of damaging wind gusts as well as storms move through later today. And so something to keep in mind for folks up there. In terms of the overall pattern, to start out this video, just to give you a quick overview, heat will continue to be a story. Much hotter than normal temperatures for the central part of the United States, Central Plains, into the Ohio Valley the next 7 days. In fact, here, guys, 5 to 10 degrees above normal rather consistently. Those elevated overnight lows will continue to be something that we monitor in that region as well. We do have a little cold front in the short term to the north, but not really going to make a major impact for central and southern portions of the Ag Belt region. Now, with that front and a little bit of a gradient that will set up into this weekend, we will have an uptick in storm cluster activity. If we take a look here at the rainfall forecast, this is the next 7 days, you can see a heavier corridor of rains likely across Minnesota, across Wisconsin. Some of the latest trends in the model data lead us to believe that we can get a couple of these storm clusters to dive a little bit further south and east into the Great Lakes, northern Indiana, northern Ohio as well. This green circled area is where I think there's the risk that more widespread, heavier trends will be possible compared to this map. Blue area, I don't think you're necessarily bone dry, but I think activity is more sporadic in nature. We will have a front by next Wednesday as well that could bring some rain chances too, but probably a heavier trend in the blue circled area, but messier in nature versus more widespread in this green circled area in parts of the Great Lakes. In terms of how this transitions as we work into the week 2 time frame, guys, you can see here that we're going to be not quite as warm. We have a couple of fronts in here, 21st to the 23rd, and then another one 24th to 26th, that will prevent the more dominant, hotter than normal pattern. With that being said, I do think between the fronts and a little bit of some influence from where the hurricane tracks can lead to still some hotter days, especially if you're across the western part of the country and the central part of the country. But I would be on the lookout compared to this EPS model for some cooler trends mid to late week 2 in the northeastern United States and into the Great Lakes. I think the GEFS seeing that a little bit better, EPS seeing the warm-ups in between the fronts a little bit better. Blend of the two would have probably been a pretty decent idea. What that means in terms of precipitation, of course, continuing to influence the pattern as well will be Erin early in this time frame. I think it's a drier than normal pattern. A Central Plains, Ohio Valley into the northeast, you have some drier coming in from the north, some moisture being pulled away from the tropical activity. I think your better rainfall opportunities once again across the northwest plains and into the upper Midwest. Taking a look here at the implications of the storm clusters as we work into the weekend and into early next week. Here's kind of the corridor that we want to keep an eye on. This yellow area, we'll need to watch out for perhaps multiple rounds of strong to locally severe storms. Need to keep an eye on it. The red area is where I think that we'll see the most frequent activity and probably excessive rain potential as well. And so that red corridor is really going to be the prime spot as we head into the weekend and into early next week. Lowest certainty with this forecast, guys, will be the far southeastern quadrant, kind of in this area. The big question is, how far south and east can these storms survive? Do they get too far under this high pressure here? Or can they survive a little bit further down to the south and to the east? Right now, I think at the very least, there's going to be some threats. I think what's still up in the air, how heavy will they ultimately end up being? How strong will they end up being by the time they work further down to the south and to the east? So something we'll be keeping a very close eye on in our insights and our videos as we work over the next several days. In terms of Erin, I wanted to share with you our latest thoughts. Here's a look at the super ensemble. So all of the different members of the European ensemble, the American ensemble, the Canadian ensemble. The dotted line is the National Hurricane Center's forecast here. And where you see the green and the yellow colors, kind of this stronger intensity color, that's where the highest consensus is right now in terms of where the storm is going to track. And so the consensus of most of the data still takes the storm through this area in here. That's where the highest probability is as things stand right now. However, latest run of the GEFS that just came in ticked pretty substantially further to the west. Here's the GFS. You can see how much further east it is. The black line is the mean. And where you see these colors and the shading indicates that there are members here that are trying to bring Erin closer to the east coast of the United States. And I highlight that just to say that we're still a ways out. We cannot 100% let our guard down if you are on the east coast. We need to be monitoring this. Much higher chance that it stays out to sea, but don't let your guard down, at least not yet. Another reason for that is because we're now kind of within range of the hurricane model, starting to see how this is going to track and where it's going to turn north. The hurricane models are down here. Note how they're trying to keep Erin further west longer. The longer that it stays west, the more likely that we're going to get closer to those western edge solutions. And so again, guys, there's just still some uncertainty and still some risk that Erin could trend a little bit further to the west. With that in mind, here's our updated outlook. We also bumped this up to a 4. It's going to be working into some anomalously warm waters, more favorable environment. We've got data support as well. So I think by Monday afternoon, Monday evening, probably looking at a Category 4 storm. Still, the most likely track is a good bit east of the eastern seaboard, but keeping eastern Florida, the Carolinas, in the monitor area. I still think we just need to watch those trends very, very carefully ahead. It's not out of the question that this track could still tick a little further to the west. All that being said, let's talk about the rest of the pattern late August into September. Tropical activity, by the way, I don't have additional slides on it right now. Tropical activity could continue to be something we need to monitor, maybe even more so into the Gulf late August, based off our tropical forcing. So that is something that will continue to be a factor as well ahead. But I want to highlight these cold fronts because I think it's related to what's going on with our Southern Oscillation Index. We do have a little bit of that moderation as we work into early week 2. But then another front will kind of lead to a reinforcing blast of some cooler air mid to late week 2. You can see around the 25th, 26th of the month. We take a look at our upper level pattern. We can really see this here on the data. Look at the trough come in. So we have, again, a little bit of a front that comes through here. You can see how the ridge weakens a bit. Kind of the warmth early in the period starts to shift further to the west. But this is the front that could bring in more fall-like weather maybe for a couple of days in here. 24th, 25th, 26th of the month across the northeastern tier of the U.S., maybe even into the Ohio Valley. Now, we go out towards the end of the week 2 time frame, last couple of days of August, you'll start to note the tendency for this ridge of high pressure and some warmth to try to return. If we roll that over into the last couple of days of August, start of September, this is the latest GEFS weekly. You can see it's trying to bring back the ridge and likely a warmer than normal pattern. We still have support for that idea from our weaker than normal global winds, as well as some tropical forcing signals in the North Pacific pattern. I'll also say, and I think this is something we need to consider too, not a whole lot of storm date indications beyond that August 24th to 26th system in the extended range. It's a drier signal as things stand right now. And so this was our 3-4 outlook on Tuesday. Wouldn't make any substantial changes to that as things stand right now. And in terms of moisture, here's the next 15 days. You can see that dryness across the Central Plains, Ohio Valley. And I think that it can continue into the weeks 3 and 4 timeframe, probably running drier than normal across the Western Plains, Southern Plains, and into parts of the Ohio Valley. Certainly parts of the Central and Western Plains, Southern Plains, and the lower Ohio Valley that have been getting drier as of late, combined with some of the hotter than normal temperatures, probably continuing to dry out a bit as we head into the start of the fall season. Guys, that's all I have for today's forecast. If you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Have a great rest of your day.